白い闇の中で密かに時は流れて浅い眠りの中遠くに君の微笑み見失った心の旅路 Where are you going? When are you coming home? 光あふれる未来求めて Oh, where are you going? When are you coming home? 時の流れ乗り越えこの大空駆け抜けこの手で作る新しい世界と愛の歌を
Hey there, Mel. How's it going?
I'm doing okay. I'm just
Sweet.
thinking
Listen,
about things.
I got some problems. I got some girl problems. Could you listen to me for a sec?
Sure. Yeah.
So listen, I have this beautiful girl. She's really great. Only problem is, she kind of reminds me of like my my ex a little bit. So
Yeah.
that's not too bad by itself, right?
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
has-
You can work with that.
yeah, I think it's normal. The same qualities. Anyway, I have another friend. Just a guy friend there who's telling me like, hey Shane, man, your ex girlfriend. You actually had a daughter with her, and it's been 20 years, and now because of time travel shenanigans, she's actually your age.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm sure these
Yeah.
are not connected at all, and I will not connect the dots in my head.
No, yeah, I think so. I don't think there's an issue there either. We were thinking this. So I'm about to go to the dimension zone. If you catch my drift with this girl I've been seeing,
Yeah.
and I'm twirling her finger in my or sorry, I'm twirling. I don't want to twirl her finger.
hair?
Yeah. I'm twirling her hair in my finger, and she's like, "Oh my god, this is just like something my mom told me my dad did."
Damn, that's
Kind of weird.
crazy. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's weird. Yeah. Anyway,
You
I'm
should
gonna
still
make
go
out
for
with
it,
her.
though. I'm sure there's
Yeah.
nothing.
But yeah. All right. Welcome to Do You Remember Robotech / Detour Quarry? This podcast we are doing covering the absolute smash hit, Dimension Orguss, whatever. What's the full name of the show? I always forget.
Dimension Century Orguss.
Yes. So we are covering episodes 13 through 24. I guess I kind of already asked you, but how you feeling? How you feeling? Your life's going so far. Doing anything cool lately, Mel?
My classes start again, so I'm tired.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Watched any other anime or games or anything just to put out there in the world?
Yeah, I've been picking away at stuff. It's it's been weird because because the pod has been on break at my end.
Mhm.
Normally I am aware of what I'm doing every week, but when it's on break, I'm not aware of what I'm doing every week. I guess I've been watching Monogatari.
Oh, how's that?
That's been good. The new season started. So I was like, well, I guess I'll rewatch the old stuff too, which I've been doing. Plus, I watched the movie trilogy, which I never. Because of Monogatari, didn't see that trilogy before. I read the novel, but I didn't really see the movies before. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll watch it. They're good.
I haven't seen them personally. From what I've heard, they're kind of similarly fraught to some of the stuff that happens in
show?
Orguss.
To the show,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I rewatched Nisei Monogatari recently, and I was like, it is hard to recommend this. Like the stuff in it is good, until there's the stuff that isn't.
That's anime.
Yeah,
Fuck.
that's anime. I guess to some degrees,
Yeah. I've been rewatching Hunter x Hunter. Well, specifically the '90s version, which I've never seen. The Heaven's Arena arc just started that. After that, have you seen Hunter x Hunter or read it?
I have not. It's something I do need to see though.
Oh, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite arc we're on, but it looks really nice, and having a good time showing it to my girlfriend who's not seen much anime before. She hates Hisoka. I'm sure you've seen Hisoka around the internet. Very
Yeah.
popular little freaky clown guy.
Yeah. She's
Not a fan. Not a fan.
seems very
um, it is funny that he is so popular because he is just like a horrible little nightmare uh, clown man with certain proclivities towards kids that you would think is not like a mainstream appeal. But people can't get enough of him, and like I like him despite myself. He's a little fucking freak.
Now, to be fair, Blue Archive is pretty popular.
Got him.
Got him.
And have I played any? I've been playing the Telltale Secrets of Monkey Island game. I think it's called Tales of Monkey
Oh.
Island, which is has a lot of nostalgia. I really like that sort of game. I love their Sam and Max point and click adventures. This is very similar to that. It is a little bit kind of turbo racist sometimes. You meet the Voodoo
Classic.
Queen, yes, who I think is a character from the other ones, which I haven't played. Which is I think I tried playing the first one. I thought it was really boring. Sorry, old point and click fans out there. But it is also like she's like a little bit large, but she's not like even like grotesque or anything. Yeah, she's in charge. She's in charge of
Okay.
I mean being sort of a racist caricature, unfortunately, but she's also in charge. And but she like makes a few like pretty milquetoast comments about just having sexual relations with someone, and the main character is like, ew, gross, disgusting, in a way that's like, oh, what's wrong with it? Why is this the audience expectation to have?
I didn't know we had a Mormon as a protagonist.
Yeah, I think it's just a fat joke. As the thing, I think, because he's fine like with regular sex, just with traditionally beautiful
Fat
people.
people can't find love. Jeez.
Yeah, very. So that's a bummer. Part of it, but like I do like the voice direction of the cast, and the animations are fun and stuff like that, and little puzzle solutions, point and click things. And pretty early on, there's a good bit we get trapped in in like a little hospital thing. Anyway, so that's that.
I mean, just like tangential to like adventure games, I went back to AI the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative, because that's a game on my Switch that I haven't finished that I want to get back to finishing. And then I got 2 of the endings. I finished like half of the game, so that's cool. I need to finish it soon.
Somnium Files.
Yeah, I like the first game a lot. I played it in like 2020. Also potentially fraught, because the main character of that game is a certain kind of way, but the sequel has different protagonists.
Okay, and this is a visual novel, or sorry, you said like adventure.
It's more like an adventure game. More
okay,
point and click, except we're not clicking with a mouse.
Yeah, it looks good. I like the art style for it.
Yeah.
Kind of looks a little from the screenshot Wikipedia, almost a little bit Persona-y or like that. I don't know if that's accurate how the style
aesthetically,
is,
but like it's not like that's not what the story is, because like the protagonist is like an adult ass detective. Not a sign of maturity, but like physically he's no, that's good. And the weird one with this Nirvana initiative is it takes place in like 2 time periods. Because you have one protagonist that's like set 6 years in the past, and I finished that half of the story. And now I'm doing the half of the story, or I guess technically just dip my toe in of like the second half of the story, which is in the present with a different protagonist who's the protagonist of the past section is like a new character, but the protagonist of the present is a character from the original game growing up. So that's fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun little gimmick. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, good gaming. And we also watched 24 episodes of this show, which is and I watched them twice. The second time at 3.75 times speed today, right before we watched, just so I can get everything back in my head right away and write down short little summaries.
I watched most of these in like the past 2 days, 3 days. So
yeah, they're all bubbling around in our heads. There, we're so much org happening constantly.
It's like the friction zone in our heads. That's the thing that they say in the show, right?
Yeah, that's the hottest of zones, the friction zone. Yeah, and so I think for this time we are going to just kind of talk about the episodes a little bit individually first. I'm going to give a quick little summary for each one, and we'll talk about them, and then just talk about the section on the whole. And if we get sidetracked, that's the nature and the beauty of podcasts.
Podcasting, baby.
Hell yes, I didn't write down the names for any of these, but I do remember episode 17 is called 17 because that's funny.
That was funny. It took me a bit until the end of the episode to realize why it was called that. I was just like, did they just give up? But no, there's a reason in the episode.
Episode 13. So the Gorma are, occasionally delightful group of protagonists are going through a chasm.
They're getting a bit more delightful as time goes on.
Yeah, I think they're all a little bit better in the section. I'd agree. So they're like, oh man, we need like a transmitter so that the Shiram can't keep following us because of K's little gross odor of the singularity. He's got a single odor all over him. So we need someone to go on an extremely dangerous mission to like just pilot a little baby motorbike around that has a jammer on it, but they'll probably die. And Slay is like, whatever, I'll do it. The entire space-time structure of the show turns around to show that Mimsy actually did love him or something, and then he dies, quote unquote, tragically. Also, Lieutenant finally shoots some people, so that's cool.
Yeah, I did have a note on that.
And Olsen is, I guess, so the Shar guy.
We find out the guy with the shades is named Olsen, who is K's bro from the first episode, and he's like the quote unquote uncle to Athena.
Yeah, and I
more
guess
on
we'll say
that
it
later.
now. Yeah, I mean it gets like petered out in the next few episodes, but we'll just say it now, even though it's not really revealed here, because you kind of like put the pieces together. I think is really his next episode.
Yeah, they put the pieces together, and then Olsen puts the pieces together for you, and K still doesn't get it, and then eventually he just has to say it, and like we're just on a hill having coffee.
Yeah, K really doesn't get it. Well, I mean, we'll get into the things of that episode.
Yeah,
later,
we'll talk about more in that episode because I have notes about that.
Yeah, just to explain to the audience who is watching the show what's happening with the characters. So Athena, who is the green-haired lady who fought, who's like the new ace pilot who fought last time. Veteran. So she turns out to actually be the daughter of Tina and the main character K. K, banged Tina on the first episode, did not use protection, or maybe
not.
And had a kid. And Olsen is like kind of taking care of her in like sort of a fatherly role there. She calls him uncle. So that is the character relationships there. Mel, what do you think of this episode and the things that happened inside of it?
I thought, that sure happened. Yeah, the stuff with Slay is weird because it does feel like the times where Mimsy cares about him, it feels forced, or like whatever residual feelings she has is based on their prior expectation they were going to get married, rather than any like real feelings she had. I guess people can be complicated, and I mean, she is someone she's known. He is someone she's known for a long time. So him, quote unquote, heavy air quotes, for now, dying, would fuck her up a bit, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. People are complicated. And I guess you could read this as Mimsy being emotionally, complicated person. You could also read it as the show, like, trying to make you feel very strongly about a character death, by like slamming in these character relationships that did not exist. And in fact, were very contradictory to the character relationships that are shown in this episode.
Well, the thing is, it's like, I do think that's true. But also is like, it's not like the show writers haven't been trying to pretend that Slay is a real romantic rival when he isn't.
I disagree. I completely disagree. I think up to this point, Mimsy has like never once indicated that she has an interest in Slay. It's only been other people who've like told Mimsy you should be interested.
Well, that's why I say the show writers are trying. I didn't say they're succeeding.
Well, no, it's I think if they wanted to have that, you would have Mimsy like show some form of indecision, but she's really not that indecisive at any point in those 12 episodes.
I feel like they give her
even
like I think they give her like maybe one moment every 5 episodes of indecision, but obviously that's not enough to be convincing. It's not like with Macross where you actually do have a bit more of that indecision.
I feel like the indecision is
some
whether
indecision
like she's.
derogatory in the last stretch of the show, but
I feel like the indecision there, it's not about Slay. It's about if she wants to be with Kay because he's like a weird abrasive asshole. Like that's the bit. I don't think she's ever considering Slay from
I
the
guess
the show
that's true.
presents me.
I guess it is more like whatever any indecision towards Slay is more about expectations other people are putting on her rather than what she actually feels, if they exist at all.
Yeah.
But I still think she'd obviously be bothered by she wouldn't be happy about his death.
Sure. Yeah. I think they're. I mean, maybe on some level, friends. We don't see that, but it would make sense that she doesn't like hate his guts. Just that every time they talk, he's like, "Hey, you want to bang me?" And she's like, "No, dude, I do not want to be bred by you right now, or maybe ever."
Do we have like the which episode is it that Slay remembers beating her at a party or whatever? Was it this one or the? Is it a later one?
I believe it was. I think it was a later one.
Okay.
Spoilers for Slay.
Yeah.
All right. Is that want to move on next episode? Do you have anything else about this one?
There's much to this one. It's just like Slay quote unquote dies.
Yeah.
Quote,
very tragic. Episode 14. Everyone is really sad about Slay, but it doesn't matter.
Operation D.
Shout out to Operation D. Mu breaches Shiram's borders. A bunch of Mu over the bunch of robot factions.
So it's like Mu is the robot faction, and we get a bit more of them towards the end of this batch. They're kind
of Olsen. It's a very funny scene watching this the first time where Olsen is talking to Athena. He's like, "Listen, I'm going to tell you right now. You and the audience have been wondering what is singularity. I'm going to tell you the truth. The truth is singularities are important to saving the world, and that's all I can tell you. That's it. Goodbye." And it's like, oh, that did not explain anything at all. Thank you, Olsen. Athena is obviously Tina's kid at this point, and so you can make that connection, and Olsen knows. Olsen is demoted. Because in the last episode he
tried to
Kay
from being killed.
Yeah, because I think Olsen recognizes even last episode that that this is the first time that he sees him. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah.
But he notices and he stops her, and then they didn't like that over at Chiram, so they demote him. Is a very stupid fight because even though Slay literally died to put up the jammer last episode, Shia just turns it off because he's like, I don't know, we're probably good, and so Shiram comes over and fights them again.
Yeah. I do understand that her sister, who we're about to meet, is annoyed with her for being not the most competent person.
Yeah, I would think I should have the right to have the family too in that case especially it's weird birthright because Shia is older, right? It's
older. They're twins, but she's older.
Yeah,
which I guess under the Amarn the contract law people, it's a really important getting the specific stuff hashed out. It is weird how much they put on she's the older one when they do say they're twins.
Yeah, that's a classic twin thing. I'm the older one by 5 seconds. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Olsen saves Kay again. There's I think this is one of those very weird fight scene where it just Kay is just surrounded by 100 people in a circle getting shot. He doesn't move.
I guess it's because this they say Operation D, which we will find out later what that is. Is ready. They're like, oh yeah, we can just kill Kay. We don't need him alive. And that's the thing that's fucking Kay up is this time they're not aiming to catch him, they're aiming to kill him. So
yeah, it probably teaches you some bad habits that they know. I guess it's just the Gundam Seed Destiny fight with where he's like, oh well, Kira never shoots to kill, so he won't aim for my cockpit, that sort of thing. But teach you some bad habits like Kira Yamato there. Although
he was 15 and playing in the piano.
the wrong character.
I forgot because I don't care that much, but
no, it's fine. You it's good to have it erased from memory. Anyway, so the Amarn come by and reinforcements, and Shia's like, "Why didn't you guys come earlier? We've been asking you for like the last 10 episodes." And they reveal that, well, actually, we came because there's like we were just really close by, but Amarn on the whole is having a big political fight between two families. Your family, Tobus, and the Ras family, which is Mimsy's family.
Yeah, and there's like a big shock because it's like, wait, I thought our families liked each other. This is not the factional split I expected. But the other family doesn't actually. The other faction she mentions doesn't actually matter, so it's fine. But it is a fun detail.
Yeah, we don't really see too much of them, even when they show up in the later episodes for the Rasses, right?
Yeah, we can talk about that later.
Yeah. What'd you think of this episode? What's the deal with
it's
stuff?
cool. Raising the stakes. There's like, the Chirum are up to some stuff. For whatever reason, Roberto and Henry are still around. The Chirum guys from like the early parts of the show. Except they were climbing the ladder because Olsen got kicked down the ladder. We got the part where like Olsen's basically a renegade now, which is some more interesting developments.
Yeah.
And it's like, finally we get the Amarn. It is funny how much these early shows are like these early mecha shows, like, it's like an Ideon and Gundam too, and I think presumably the template is Space Battleship. It's just like, the crew is on a spaceship and it's just going places and it's being hounded by other people, and that's just like the formula and different twists on it. Like that's Macross too, and it's funny. They're just like, that's just what they was in style at the time.
Yeah, I guess it's a good way to do an episode of the week format that way, because you're always like seeing new places, and there's like always an excuse to have a fight of the week.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel like in this show especially, there's like a lot of incentive for there to be a fight every time. Like this one, Shia just like forgets to turn off the, or not forgets, but she just like turns it off for no reason. Is like, all right,
I think we needed.
We're contractually obligated to have a fight here. Sorry, we need to have it happen right now.
Yeah, and Olsen also just makes contact with Kay this time. I think. What did he do earlier? Oh,
yeah. I will say too. I do have a point about back during last episode. I spoke about the sauceless bad guys, and here I was like, okay, Olsen is like, he has some stuff going on now. Like he's has a relationship to Kay. He has these relationships to Athena. He has this, his own agenda going on with Shiram. And I was like, okay, we finally have like an interesting bad guy who has a lot of stuff going on. But unfortunately,
and then his alignment changes.
Yeah, but like, to go ahead a little bit, he just comes over to the good guy side, and now there's no one left on the bad guy side with any sauce again. Other than I don't really like Athena too much as a character, just kind of an object. But I just sad that there's what is Henry or David? Is that those guys' names?
There's Roberto and Henry.
Yeah, I don't write their names down. Right, they're not important in any way.
Yeah,
I still want a good villain.
We do get a bit of a sauce with like Manisha, which is Shia's sister, but that gets resolved by the end of this arc.
Yes.
So
I don't love it. We'll get to more of that later. But you're right. Manisha is a significant step up from like the no-name Shiram guys we've had so far. I will agree at least. Speaking of episode 15, good to go there. Mel, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, episode 15. So in this episode, Olsen finally gets to meet with Kay. They have a little chat. They also all arrive like at the Amarn colony, by the way. And Olsen is like, "Hey, come over here." Olsen explains a lot of important lore stuff. This is I think we've already stated this, but just to reiterate, this world they're in is the same world in some ways as Earth.
But I said this is where I expected the show to go, and then they just confirmed it this episode.
Okay, I see. So specifically, it's been 20 years since the stuff that happens in the first episode with the transdimensional bomb. 15 years after that, Olsen kind of shows up out of the time sphere, which is 5 years away from the present. And then, of course, Kay just arrived as well. So Olsen is now 5 years older. We also find out that in terms of like factions, that Chiram is the continuation of the Earth government. So all those people have just kind of decided to put
Yeah.
pizza slices on their heads and continued onwards, I guess.
Yeah, so like I guess we can see all we really see of Earth. The original Earth is we see like the wars happening between the two
Right.
factions. I guess maybe that's just like, oh yeah, that's how that war shook out. But yeah, specifically he's like, oh yeah, Terra becomes Chira, which Earth.
Makes sense.
And also, yeah, there's also the part where Olsen says, oh yeah, you have a kid. Tina's dead, but you have a kid.
Yeah, and Kay is like, I'm going to put that out of my mind.
Yeah.
Completely.
This is also like why Olsen is like ride or die for the Cheerum, because like, oh yeah, that's our people. That's like, of course I'm on their side.
Yeah. And that's a lot of Olsen's character in the next few episodes, kind of or his arc rather, is struggling with that, which is good stuff.
But first, they have to struggle with some palm trees that are actually spiders.
Mel, I love these palm trees. This is
it's really cool.
This is the best thing in the show, and it's like not even close. How happy I was about these palm trees. And I was just so they're just like hanging out and talking and offering like, hey, you should come back to Cheerum. And he's like, I don't know. And he leans on a palm tree, and the palm tree turns to be like a little fucked up evil palm tree monster crawling around like a spider. And they're like doing a cool shoot off battle, and the palm tree monster's like lighting on fire, like dying horrifically. It's the best shit ever. It's like the best fight this thing has ever had, and I love the designs of these things. There's a really funny bit where Kay is like, "You lured me here to this is a trap to have these palm tree monsters kill me." And Elsa's like, "No, dumbass, obviously not, because they're trying to kill me too." I love it.
Yeah.
It really feels like so much better, like animated. At least like the fight choreography, like more than the mecha stuff too. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. It's a pretty good sequence.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so they fight that. Olsen kind of has to leave. Athena shows up, and he leaves, and they're fine. Let's see. Oh, and
I think they get to the city, right?
Oh yeah. And then the whole rest of the episode happens. So they get to the city. Then Kay is like lore dumped in like this big kind of like the Final Fantasy VII bit where you're on the top of the tower.
And basically, it's like, oh yeah, there's like, let me tell you about parallel universes. But then there was a bomb, and then they sucked up all the universes together. That's why it's like that.
Kay, you may think that a half A press is the same as an A press.
Yeah, but then like they also point out that like basically the thing that I suspected last episode, which is like Kay saw off the bomb that fucked up the Earth and caused like the worlds to merge, and also because Kay and Olsen were in the blast, they're the ones who are the singularity, and like there's like this big glowing orb in the sky, like, oh, that's the original like bomb explosion, and we basically need to, because Kay and Olsen are kind of like quote unquote part of the explosion, they're like needed to make it whole again to maybe like fix the Earth kind of thing.
I do like the idea, if you do a big enough war crime, you can make elves exist.
Yeah.
If you want Legolas to be your boyfriend, you got to do the biggest war crime there is. That's the way of the world here.
I feel like they're also like, oh yeah, the singularities can probably maybe change how that goes. I don't know the logistics of it, but like, yeah, you can decide how the world will go.
So that's a good point, because that brings into like my general confusion with a lot of this stuff, that it feels like the structure of how the singularity stuff is very out of pace with what we as the audience understand. Like sometimes it feels like the characters understand more than we do, or that the characters kind of feel contrary to the way of which we've been explained about the situation. First of all, like what does so they say during this section that singularity should be able to, quote, exert will over the repair process, which also depends on the, quote, will of the people who are near the singularity point. What happens? What does any of that mean? It's nonsense.
Yeah.
Which is like fine, but like no one else in the show seems confused about it, as if it's like obvious.
Yeah. Like I get to the logic of Kay and Olsen are in the explosion. That's why they're the singularities. But I don't get how like that means they can shape the will of how dimensions work. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, protagonist stuff.
And like I wouldn't mind, because it's it's fine. I don't we have Marshall left. It's obviously a very complicated thing in the structure of the world. and you're not 100% sure about if they can even do a thing. But that's normal. I'm not mad that Kay does not have an exact plan to do the thing. He's like, well, like this is the solution I want. This is the place where it's going to happen. All that stuff's fine. The thing that I don't love is that just like the struggles of the characters are presented in a way that's does not align with what we've been told. Over the course of like many episodes, Kay and Olsen are going to be struggling over the various choices of like whether to save Sharam or Emron. But like neither of those characters even really seem to know how or if any of that is possible, right?
Yeah. They just kind of take it as a given because everyone else does.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's just weird to have that be so character interiority without understanding the mechanics of like what the choices that they're actually struggling with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also in this exposition dub, they're like, Singularity will probably be okay, and then Kay leaves and it's like, oh, he's fucked. He's gonna blow the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's why we're gonna mind control him. And Shai's like, what? Excuse me.
Shai is another hero, just like, hey, here's that information, and immediately stuffs it in the back of her mind for next episode, where she won't think about it ever again.
An important plot point also is like,
because
Olsen's on the run and he gets spotted by a recon unit. He has to like do this mad dash to explode the recon unit before he can tattle.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
That's cool. He uses the chaos of the battle to kill him. That's cool.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Olsen's a good addition, I think.
Oh yeah, I like Olsen. Might be a favorite character so far. With all that new stuff about him.
Yeah.
Well, no, he's no lieutenant or Moon, but out of like the main character people that matter, he's cool.
Jabby doesn't get much this entire section.
Show us Javeet cheating on his girlfriend again. We want that dinosaur, his love triangle, nightmare honeymooner situation. We demand it. Thank you, Orguss. Listen to our call.
Yeah, we need the time skip at the end of the show where he just like Jabby's living his own version of the show Dinosaurs.
Oh my god, is that how Dinosaurs ends? The fucking dimension singularity? Is that the ending of that show?
No, I think the show ends when they all die.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Maybe that's the singularity.
Yeah.
Their game theory is Javeet really from the Dinosaurs universe? Okay. Any other thoughts from this?
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly an exposition episode. There's a cool fight, and we're getting Olsen more involved, which is cool.
I love those palm trees, man. I love those palm trees more than life itself. Anyway,
yeah.
Episode 16. So this one, the Shai's family, the Tobus, kidnaps Kay. We meet Shai's sister, Manisha. Is that it?
Yeah, and then Mimsy and Yuri go, hey, by the way, they're gonna kidnap Kay, right? And she's like, oh, I thought it was just a rumor. Don't worry about it. And immediately someone comes in, by the way, he got kidnapped.
What is Shai thinking? What does she mean by it's just a rumor? Wasn't the guy that told her last episode part of the family?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I think we're the higher ups are thinking that we should kidnap him and mind control him. And then she's like, oh, I thought it's just a rumor.
I don't know why she thinks that, because because she reacts like with genuine shock and horror. She doesn't like think of it's a rumor at the time.
Also, I think it's weird that Mimsy wears a swimsuit under a uniform.
Look, what's the difference between a bra and panties and a swimsuit? Really, it's just society, Yeah. This episode we're talking about society. Why is society so fucked up, Mel?
Well, dimensions.
Oh, all right.
Also, Reed brings a cactus.
Oh yeah, that's good. One quick thing about this, Kay getting kidnapped is he nearly gets away, but some random mook is like, don't worry, I fucking got this. And he throws like a baton he's holding all the way across like on top of the truck and nearly hits Kay's leg to trip him. And it's like, that's some Captain America shit right there.
Yeah, like Kay actually like fights the guys off, but he does not. He's not good against zoners.
He gets zoned out. I was really was impressed by that one random character who had such amazing skills.
But yeah, and then they bring him. They bring him to like the Toba like leadership, and they're like, "So you want to help us?" And he's like, "Bro, what the fuck? You kidnapped me? Of course not." And like, "Oh well, he's resisting. I guess we got no choice."
They just really want to mind control that fella.
Yeah,
They can't stop.
they love mind control.
Yeah, and that's and then I think they and then Shia just frees him.
Yeah,
And
well,
they
she had an
find out
argument with her sister, and like
oh yeah.
like their sister's like, well, we gotta, we gotta save the Cheerim race. We gotta make sure that we gotta secure the Amarans, because the Cheerim will probably, like, if they can fix the dimensions, they'll erase us. And you're naive, and you're a loser, and I don't like you. And Shia punches her in the gut, classic. And steals her uniform and runs off with Kay.
And also undresses and also like redresses up her in Shia's uniform, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A little extra step there. It's nice to have your sister's decency at heart, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and they escape the city, like they blast open the gates, and run off. And now we have a second antagonist faction, which is the Amaran are also now chasing them, which is fun.
Yeah. What do you think of this episode?
Yeah, it was good on the whole. Raising the stakes. I did like while it was still relevant, just having like the Amaran as like they're not necessarily the good ones, just because like that's what, because we've seen them as like on a particular antagonist side, but now we get more antagonists, and now we're just having some more antagonists besides just like the boring Cheerim chasing after them.
Yeah, I think that's good. I like the little twist there. It is a nice moment where all the crew is like, hey, like we're going to make the decision. You guys don't have to come with me to protect Kay. We think you can help save the world. And then they all you're like, yeah, we're going to become fugitives. We're going to come with you and make this choice. That's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty light. Other than that, Kay gets mind control zapped a whole lot this episode. Seems like it hurts.
Yeah.
All right.
It's good.
So, episode 17. Remember how I told you all that Slay was dead? Guess what? He's fine. And Mel, can you explain like what happened? Like where he was? Like he's just near a water thing?
Yeah, he's just chilling. And then a lake disappears, because apparently that's in this lake. The lake does that. We
don't really get an idea of like what he was doing during the period he was gone, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I missed something, but it just seems like he just kind of shows up and he's there.
I'm sure he'll have time to explain all this with the vast amount of episodes he has left of the show, right? For real.
Yeah. He's gonna win us over. We're gonna be fucking sleigh heads by the end of this.
Yeah.
Mimsy's sick. She has the breeder disease. She's not being bred enough.
Yeah, it's usually called menopause, I think. But,
menopause, breeder disease, whatever. Do you want to explain about this part of it, where it gets extremely gender?
Yeah, I mean the weird the Amaran stuff. This is where like the Amaran gender stuff gets really weird, because before we had like Shia doesn't care about co-ed, like changing and stuff like that, or bathing. But Mimsy did, and it was like, they're having their cake and eating too. And then we get into like weird biology stuff where it's like Amaran are only of like instead of like having menopause in like the 50s, they have it at 18, which means they have to get married and have children by 18. And then for whatever reason, not getting married and going through menopause means you suddenly become like less explicitly female gendered somehow.
Yes.
I don't know how that works, but it is weird where they make a point of like, Shia has less quote unquote breasts than a woman would expect. I don't know.
I was very confused about this, because they show us a flashback of her boobs and they look like normal boobs. Like it's a little bit hard to see the nipple, maybe, but I just assumed that was because
I just assumed because you couldn't put that on TV, and then it's like, well, no, it's actually censorship was plot important. It wasn't actually censorship.
Yes, but I will say, most people do have nipples regardless of sex or gender. So I don't know why that would be a signifier to us that something is strange there.
Maybe there's just like maybe they intended Shia to look a bit more androgynous than expected.
They couldn't resist. They told draw an androgynous person, and the animator was like, "I'm going to draw this lady with honking tits."
Yeah.
They couldn't stop themselves.
I don't know that. Yeah, it's bizarre. Like, there's a lot of the show things pretty cool, and then some parts where I'm like, why are you doing this? Why? But yeah, can you continue? I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say it just kind of leads back into some of the patriarchy stuff of you talked about last time.
Yeah,
With
like
this everyone.
famously the Macross and I guess this staff, because the same people are like otaku who like Gundam and making their own show, and them being otaku, I guess, really shines through here.
Yeah, not a
Not that
great
you
moment.
know, not that you know the creators of Gundam are free from this. Just look at Zeta Gundam, but you know.
Yeah, I will say like having like this be a genetic thing feels grosser to me, and I don't know if I'm qualified
Yeah,
to say exactly why there. But it's like a
the fact
genetic.
that's like the fact that it seems like there's no real repercussions for like the male, and then I'm hoping of like the dumbest line where it's like this, oh, you stop being a woman that way, or like, well, it's like you stop being seen as a woman, but it seems like it's taken as like, well, I guess it's like, you know, gender is a social relation, not biological,
Yeah.
but where it's like K whatever in his weird sense, and it's probably what the writers believe. Think it goes so far as like, oh man, she can't dress up and we're making up anymore because she's women, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
It's very weird. I just don't think they do the work that they could do to make this like better or interesting.
It's basically adding fake tension to make Slay matter at all.
Which is the worst thing you could be doing. We all hate him. Stop making him matter. Keep him dead.
It's a twin prong thing of like this, the modern biology stuff. Both is like the have your cake and eat it too of like, oh, you can have the co-ed interactions with Shia because she doesn't care, but also Mimizu's still a tsundere, so you get like the rom-com, oh, you're a pervert, hoo hoo hoo, because apparently that's attractive. And meanwhile, you get, oh, this is what makes Slay relevant when he's not. And you know, you could just write a normal romance, a normal love triangle, like Macro 7, which does a lot better, despite the fact that like the protagonist of that show is the most asexual character alive.
I could be watching Macross 7 right now. So we do get, we're done with that extremely stupid stuff, and then we get into a very different flavor of stupid stuff. So Mimsy is like so sick.
It's called it's episode 17 because Mimsy is 17.
The age for breeding, according to Orguss, that's when you need to get the kids in you.
Not according to the United States Congress, of course. Except for, I guess, certain states where, you know, there's some stuff in the U.S. that's problematic.
Neither of our podcasts, I'm going to say, approve of having a kid at 17. You know, I think you're probably not at a good time in your life to do it. You're probably not emotionally ready. You know, you may think if you're a very strange, if you're a 17-year-old thinking about like having a kid,
don't be like Kei Katsuragi. Practice safe sex.
Yeah, please do. I don't know why you're getting your advice from this podcast for this exactly how you ended up here, but please listen to us. Anyway, so Miss Mimi's really sick, and she's like talking in her dreams of like the gender essentialist nightmare, which she will wake up to, where everyone will hate her.
Well, when this is where we get the flashback of Slay, where he meets Mimsy at a party in a gala.
Yeah.
And they're dressed all nice. And we also get the twins saying, perhaps relevant to how anime fans are, they're like, oh man, once we turn 18, they'll call us hags and it's over. And I'm like,
that is funny.
Anime fandom is never interested.
That was a very good bit. I like that joke quite a bit. But the funniest part is, so she's saying all that in her dreams and her nightmares, and like Slay's watching over her. And in her nightmare, as Slay's watching over her, she says, "Slay, please marry me." And Kay is outside listening and thinks that like she's awake and like actually proposing to him. And Slay, who even though she's clearly asleep and having a nightmare, also maybe seems to think that was a real proposal in pure delusion.
And
is that the impression there?
I guess. And I guess either way, it's like, hey, this is for Mimsy's own good. I will let you have her. And I think for Christopher Slay's like, oh, don't tease me, man. And Kay's like, no, I mean it. And he's like, thanks, Kay. You're a bro. And they handshake, and Kay goes to fight.
Yeah. It's so strange that multiple characters are having this character resolution based on a misunderstanding. It's kind of like a much more boring version of the infamous Gios moment, you know?
I don't know it because I haven't seen Gios,
It's good.
which I'll get to in good time. But
Oh yeah, just wait till GGP gets there once they're done with Gundam.
yeah,
So Slay hearing that is like, well, I'm gonna go protect my new wife to be, and he immediately blows himself up by ramming into the commander.
yeah.
And meanwhile, and after the battle's over, Mimsy wakes up and she's like, "Wait, Slay was here, and he died again? Really?"
It's so funny. They bring him back just to kill him for real, and Mimsy's asleep the entire time. It has to be like, wait, he came back and then died while I was asleep. What?
Yeah, it is funny. I guess like because at least in these episodes, Kay never actually brings it up again that she had proposed to him, even though that's what he thought happened.
I mean, it's not really relevant when he's dead.
Yeah,
but it's
brutal.
just like, this is not good writing, but it's very funny writing.
Yeah, I do like killing Slay. Maybe they should just keep bringing him back to kill him again in fun new ways. That'd be
is funny. Like in the next episode preview for this episode, like in episode 16, there's just a shot of him, and they don't even talk about, oh yeah, Slay's back. He's not relevant. Just doing the next episode preview.
Yeah. So I think we kind of got most of our talking point. Oh, go ahead, finish up.
Also, yeah, we got reinforcements from Mimsy's family, the Ross family, and it seems they're using mass production Orgusses, which is
they got all Orgusses now.
Yeah, it's no longer the month of August.
All right. Anything else for this one? You're good to go on 18.
This isn't a good one. This isn't really good.
No.
Whenever an episode leans onto the love triangle stuff, that's when I'm like, why? Like, this show is a lot of we are so back, it is so over, because sci-fi stuff and the faction stuff is cool. And I think even by the end of this batch, I'm buying in a bit on the relationship. Or it's like the love triangle stuff or the gender stuff. Like, please shut the fuck up. It is so over.
Yeah. None of that stuff hits for me either. I think the alternate universe stuff is very cool.
It like, this is bad. But yeah, the characters are perfect. I think we'll talk about it. We'll give overall thoughts when we get further along.
Okay. All right. Episode 18. So Mel mentioned last time the Ross family shows up, including Foodall, who is a very strange character, not because of anything he does, but because like he has like a normal conversation with Mimsy. Where he's like, I'd like to talk to the captain, please.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, oh, you're like anti her family, aren't you? And he's like, no. And then he goes and he talks to Shia.
Yeah, this comes up multiple times in this episode and only this episode.
Yeah. He talks to Shia, and they have a conversation about what they're planning to do. She's like, well, we're going to go to space. And he's like, well, that's like, you have to go like past enemy territory to do that. It's not like going to be really easy. She's like, oh, you just don't like me because I'm not your family. And he's like, once again, no. And then
No.
in her thoughts, Shia's like, this is going to be a really important thing politically in the next few episodes. But spoiler alert, it's not, as Mel said. Also, Foodall just dies, so we know it's not going to be there in the future. He gets killed in episode 24.
It is funny that we get like this extended sequence where we have like this second ship alongside our hero ship with Foodall, and Foodall is the only guy we ever see. Like, we don't see any of the other guys on that ship ever. We have no interaction with them. They're just there.
Oh, they don't really matter.
They don't, but like,
Just
you think
mooks.
having a second ship would be like, oh yeah, there's more, or there's a bigger cast a little bit. But no.
Shout out to Battlestar Galactica when they do that plot. That's cool. Get a few new characters in that one there.
I think IBO has a bit too.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
I like it.
Mimsy learns. Mimsy is jealous of Mahum this episode, which is not a plot point. I wish they would bring back. I wish they would stop doing that.
Yeah.
I am begging. I'm pleading.
It's like Moom and Mimsy insist on making this a plot point when Kay extremely doesn't. Like, the writers are smart enough to be like, oh yeah, Kay is not interested, but they still insist on putting this in.
Yes,
It's like a point of
it's
contention.
it's the same thing we talked about last episode, but they just keep doing it, and I guess it's kind of like laid down over this course of episodes that but I just don't. Why are you getting jealous of this child? Why are you treating her as a valid romantic interest? I hate it. Stop it, please. I'm begging
There's
you.
a little bit disagree to which I can see a bit where it's like Mimsy's in a weird spot where like she obviously likes Kay, but for reasons was like had a connection, quote unquote, with Slay, and now Slay's dead, and then she sees like Kay, like, you know, hanging out with someone else, and she wants the attention, but like the fact they treat it as like actual romantic is silly. It is also funny that like Slay's like no Slay, Kay is like
he's back again. Oh fuck.
Kay is just like moping on the roof, and then Moom's like, "Oh, you're acting weird," and he like starts twirling around and playing with her to like, you know, put a mask on. Then Mimsy's like, "Oh man, I'm jealous of this."
That's stupid. Mimsy, you gotta get control of yourself, girl. I know you got the breed disease going on. You can't be like this. This is a very nothing happens episode. This is like maybe one of the most skippable episodes of the whole show, I think. The only other thing that happens is that sorry, I did forget an important plot point. Ghost Slay does come back, and Kay has a talk with him where Ghost Slay is like, "You should make Mimsy happy," and Kay's like, "Why? If you want to make her happy, why'd you die?" And then Ghost Slay just gets back the fuck out and leaves.
Does he just shrug? I feel like he just shrugs.
He just keeps smiling serenely and fades out. Manisha and Shia talk, but they don't have anything more to say. They just kind of repeat the same plot points back at each other.
Yeah, it's just like Manisha's like, we have to like save Amar, and Shia's like, the whole world is fucked. This is bigger than just like, you know, getting one over on the other faction. Doesn't matter if like the Earth is like, if there's no Earth, then it doesn't matter which faction's on top.
Yeah, which is still frustrating because we don't know like what the actual conflict resolutions there are still. So you're not really sure what anyone, you know, has grounds to stand on. Like I get that it's all like ideological, right? Like they're doing the classic anime. There are two bad ways, but maybe there's a third way that we have to believe in.
It's funny that in the third way, in real life, the third way is always fascism, but it's never presented like that in like anime.
No, never. Which is like already like fine, but that's just every story that does that.
Yeah.
But the thing is here is that it's not a very good third way story because the sense of scale and stakes are so confusing and ill defined.
Yeah,
amongst the characters.
If, like I can get the argument that like the two factions think that if the other will, it's a race to restore the world, and they think that the other faction will erase them if they have their way. I get that. And I do get like, oh yeah, we should like, it's like global warming, which I think the show is gesturing towards both literally and metaphorically as like a metaphor. Cause like, you know, the Earth is in a global catastrophe because of the dimension stuff. And also it's causing global warming. So, you know, having a cake and eating the two. And you know, the whole thing with global warming is like, you know, everyone's fucked. So we can't like have petty squabbles about this, right? But you know,
right.
And Shia's Shia has a part where she's like, "Oh, you remember when you got bitten by a dog as a kid? You're too nice. You're too nice."
But would you get bit if it was a poisonous dog? And Shia's like, yeah, I'd still get bit by that poisonous dog. And she's like, oh fuck.
We get like a scene where like you know, Athena helps fix Olsen's ship, and then she's getting like teased at a smoky bar for, you know, having attachment to her uncle. Yeah,
she handles it pretty well. She's
handles like less well later, but you know.
At least in this episode, she's like good at creating that distance for strategic purposes. You know, have a good one of the more competent people in the show, seemingly, at the moment, anyway. I think we just move on from here. It's really extremely do nothing episode. Like, does not actually matter.
I think the episode ends with like a bunch of factions fighting, and then like you get Athena almost tailing the Gloma as it escapes. That's basically it.
Yeah. Okay. Episode 19. Kay wants to bang his daughter really badly. That's this episode.
Yeah, half this episode was kind of cool, and then it became very bad, really much by the end.
There's like so they're fighting Kay and Athena, and then they get Dimension Zone to a volcano, and then they get Dimension Zone to like World War II.
Spend the entire time trying to be like, Kay, Athena is your Athena, Kay is your
Yeah, this is where all the stuff and like this podcast and show came from, with the twirling, and there's like just all these signs like, wow, you're a lot like what my dad is. Wow, you're a lot like what my daughter would be. But you're pretty hot. Stuff along those lines.
I think like 80% of this episode is good, and then like the last 10 minutes, I'm like, well, no, because we get like some time travel hopping where like Kay and Athena help each other out to a volcano place. Then they have like a little fun adventure being sent back to World War II, and they fight off some Americans, and that's fun.
Yeah.
And then there's like a bonding scene, which is like should be good, but then despite the neon signs the show is pointing to saying, "Hey, Athena is your daughter." Athena is still like, she reminds me of Tina, which means it's probably okay to make out with her. And they don't actually do it, thankfully. Like, it's just extremely last minute. They're like, I don't know.
Extreme restraint on the writer's behalf to not have them make out.
You didn't have to do that. Like, I get the K is a playboy, but also, I even have one of my notes. Kay realizes that Athena is likely his daughter, and then I crossed it out and says, no, he doesn't. Because I thought he was realizing it, and then immediately he was like, don't worry, I'll take care of you. I'm like,
You ever seen Old Boy?
No. I have not.
Okay. It's so similar in vibes to some of this stuff. It is almost like Kay is just trying to do that situation where he knows in the back of his mind, this is probably my daughter, but there's no proof. So what if I just try to make out? No one can blame me if I didn't know for sure. Gross.
We need a version of this scene which is like Olsen, like Kay, and imagining Olsen telling him, oh, you have a daughter, except it's like the Lisa needs braces moment.
I'm not Simpsons. What's the Lisa's needs braces moment?
There's a thing where in an episode Lisa needs braces, and then at a union meeting Burns is able to buy off the union by saying, we'll give up your dental plan if we give you this nice keg of beer. And then the gag is that Lenny says, so long dental plan, and then Homer spends like 2 minutes in his head just thinking, dental plan, Lisa needs braces, over and over again, and then he connects the dots.
Oh, okay, that's good. Should I bangy my daughter versus not banging my daughter?
Kay just being like, Olsen, Kay, you have a daughter, in the cheer-em, and he just has an echo in his head for like a minute, and like connects the dot. He's like, oh, my daughter, who has hair like Tina's and looks like Tina.
It's some nice bonding between them outside of that stuff, though, I guess, is the positive thing I could say.
If you cut that part, if you just cut the particular like thing where he's like about to kiss her out of the episode, it would be a good episode. But because of that one moment, it's terrible. It's poison.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because it also is like one of the best shots I've seen in the show. Like this one I'm sharing in the chat. It's just like, this is like a really cool shot of just like Mimsy. Because they're like, everyone just for whatever reason is just having a picnic by the dimension transfer. And they're like, well, it's weird. It hasn't like completely transferred in yet. And we get a little bit of the Moai heads a bit. And meanwhile, Mimsy just is chilling, waiting for Kay to come back because she's worried.
Yeah. They're just hanging out on there. Yeah. I think there's a little bit of Javid where he's like, "Oh, there's a dimension, but it's not like important. It just happens."
That's an episode.
Mm-hmm. Episode 20. Kay rescues Olsen. So he gets on board the ship. He's a new ship guy. They have a fist fight over if they're going to destroy Amarn or leave Sharam the way it is. Yeah.
Like, importantly, like, Olsen's got brought aboard, and, like, he acts really coldly, and everyone is, like, really annoyed with that and put off by it. And Kay's like, what's up with that? And he's like, listen, there's a non-zero chance I may wipe these people out, so I don't want to get attached. And then that's where the ideological difference kind of comes in.
Yeah, which I do like. It's a fun little moment. And also Olsen just beats the shit out of him because he's like, I've been like, training for 5 more years than you, dude.
Yeah.
I'm better than you now. The Gorma goes over to the Joan of Arc city to hide out from the
Yeah.
Amarn.
I like that they revisited, like, it wasn't just a one-off. Like, oh yeah, those guys, and like they're like, oh hey, you helped us out, so we're gonna help you out.
Yeah, and Joan of Arc is very nice about it. Like talks mad shit to Manisha, even though they have like a way smaller military. So, shout out to Joan of Arc, historical figure. We'll call in favors when you need to. And then there's like a fight,
Oh yeah,
and
Mimsy and Kay fight, kiss for the first time.
like, you mean consensually kiss?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay,
Consensual
yeah, I
kiss.
was gonna say a lot of
I
kissing
forgot-
that's happening.
erased that out of my memory. For goodness,
There's quite a few, and even after this, there's one.
He's stopped being non-consensual.
Oh, fuck! That reminds me. The last episode, there's a bit where he's like playing with her hair, and she tells him to stop, and he does, and she's like, "Oh, wow, thank you for stopping touching me when I didn't like it." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm really good about like listening to people tell me no."
I actually had that screenshot, and I almost posted it. I was like, "No, you're not. Don't lie."
Like, no, what? Absolutely not. You are. Yeah, I'm someone who stops doing things people don't like. False. You were constantly sexually harassing Whimsy all the time. You little fucking dick.
It is funny they consensually kiss for the first time after he got this shit beat him out of him. And she just drags him out of the room.
It's one of his best moments. And the end of the episode is a little weird because it doesn't play it off yet. Because Olsen gets hurt and he falls down to the city, and Kay orders Mhoom to go ahead and like grab him, and she's like a little unsure, and then he orders her to do it. She's like, oh, "Okay, yes, sir, I got it," and she goes and she rescues him. And I don't really even think twice about that. It just kind of seemed like she was a little unsure because it was dangerous, but he really needed her to do it. But in the episode, he's like talking to Javert, and Kay's like, in that moment, I didn't really see her as a human. I just ordered her like a machine, and I'm like, oh, damn, that's fucked.
I mean, that is the first time he's actually, I guess, like given her order. But like, I guess, like giving someone an order is different when they're a machine. You ostensibly own. Like, I think he's like he tries to like not treat her like that, but I think like the fact that he knows that she's built that way and that's how people treat her, and the fact he slips into that he feels bad about, which I think is fair. And Javi's just really interesting. I think Javi's like, oh, don't worry about it. She's happy with it, which is always a thing whenever I see that in fiction. You're like, oh, it's okay that robots are treated as servants because they're programmed to like that.
Yeah, and to his credit, Kay does not seem to accept that. He seems a little unsure. It is really interesting because I think that idea of like, hey, this is like someone who I'm going to treat as a person until it becomes inconvenient of me to do so. Like he like, oh, this is like my new daughter. I want to buy her. But the moment where it's like, oh, I need you to do something that a robot has to do that you don't want to, I'm going to exert this control over you to make you do it.
And like, I think to be fair, in this moment, Kay would have been like that to anyone.
Yeah.
But like,
he makes it a weird.
Like, he would have been like that to anyone, and like Moom is just like the most reliable person in that moment. But also, I think he reflects on like, because she is a robot who he ostensibly owns, even though he doesn't like to think of it that way. He kind of like sits with it a bit and was like, maybe if it was a human, I wouldn't be so bad, because she is a robot who like is treated like a tool, and is by giving an orders, it feels like it's wrong in hindsight for me to do the same thing I would do for another person, even though he's saying it like a like a heightened situation where it's like stressful. I think that is interesting. I think it's a good moment.
It is weird though, because I didn't get that it was like that sort of thing until he brought up explicitly later. I would have liked it if they played a little bit more of a drama, like if he makes the active choice and then regrets on it later. Maybe that'll like come up in a different way later on. But it's still a very good moment. I thought one more interesting character relationship things that have popped up.
We should also mention that like the city is like surrounded, encircled by Manisha's forces, and so the tactic they use to break free is like Olsen just like, I'll just call the Cheerum over. I'll tell Athena to come over, and then like the by having the Cheerum come, the forces are forced to divert some of their resources to fight the Cheerum, and which lets them break out the encirclement. We get a nice moment of Jean being like, "Hey, I thought we'll support you," and then she's like, "No, we don't want to burden you, so we'll leave."
Yeah, shout out Joan of freaking Arc.
Yeah,
Fire Girl.
And then Kay just spends like the last bit of the episode just thinking about, I got to go pick up Moom and Olsen later.
The epic rap battles video with Joan of Arc is really bad. That's I think it's Joan of Arc versus Miley Cyrus. It's really terrible.
I think I stopped. I watched those in high school, I think, a bit. Because that's when they started coming out. And then I fell off because they are bad. Some of them obviously make sense, but like, why did Genghis Khan rap battle the Easter Bunny?
That's not a good one. There's a few of those I like quite a bit. There's some good stuff in Goku versus Superman even, but I know those are like objectively really bad songs, and I'm wrong for liking them. But even in that same even in that metric, that's not a good one. Lord, forgive me for the words I speak. I know the voices of the angels tell me turn the other cheek. About to rip Hannah Montana's tongue out through her teeth. Je suis la fille unfu. Call me Katniss Everdeen. Bad, not good stuff. Terrible.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Different very different interpretations of characters in media you can do, it turns out.
It does make sense that a couple white guys rapping would come up with this.
Yeah, that's very true. Do you have any other thoughts on this episode or any other epic rap battles of histories?
This episode was good. Yeah,
right.
It is funny. Olsen, who spent the entire last stretch of episodes slapdashing, putting his machine together, hoping it works, and then he's just finally is yep, my machine is definitely totaled now, and he eats shit. It's funny. He just face down in the concrete.
He gets splatted, blood comes out all over his face.
It's incredible he isn't dead.
It's the sunglasses do a lot to prevent the fall damage, turns out.
Sunglasses do something in this case.
Next episode 21, Samhoon rescues Olsen.
They're trying to make it it's not France, but it is France.
Yes. Because people that are not Shiram are nice to him, it teaches them the power of not being racist, which did not really seem to be his feelings in general about why. He seemed very materialist, right? He's listen, we're going to have to make a choice, and we're honestly going to probably choose our own people versus these fucking weird space elves.
It's our own people, and this was originally our planet, and restoring it to how it was is the correct way. And then I do wish it was a bit more drawn out rather than just some people are nice to him, and he's like, well, actually, maybe I shouldn't have wiped these people for existence.
Yes, extremely liberal wet dream situation of wow, extremely racist guy meets one very nice person of color, and they're fixed. We should all be very nice to very racist people, but which is weird. It's not a trope I like, but it's also not really a trope that fits the situation here. So it's strange. But so that happens, and it's weird too because he kind of goes back and forth on what he actually wants. I think he kind of settles on third way stuff eventually, but for a little bit he's well, I still prefer Chiram, but I'm not married to it. I'll be nice to Amaran too if we can.
Yeah, he's well, I guess this is the world that actually exists now, so maybe it's okay to save everyone.
Yeah. Then the other big thing that happens is they have a very long meeting of Kay, Athena, and Olsen where they all talk about their family.
Yeah, because because Kay is going to the city to get Olsen and Moo, and Athena is coming over because she wants to see Olsen, and then she sees Kay, and she's like, "I'm gonna shoot him down and interrogate him instead of actually having a conversation with him."
Mm-hmm.
And then she posts after that rationalizes well, I can also take him in, and then they won't hunt down Olsen. And then we get Olsen on the bike, trying to stop them despite the fact he's injured. And then Olsen crashes, and they all meet up in the crash site. And Mimsy eventually comes too by the end of the episode for some reason. But yeah, the big thing is the conversation here in this episode, which
Mimsy comes over to tell Olsen that her readometer is off the charts, and because Athena has a crush on Olsen, that's why Mimsy's there.
Yeah, she's like, oh yeah, by the way, she sees you as an uncle, but also as a man love interest. And I know because I'm a woman, and women know those things because men wrote this show.
And then Kay is very helpfully like, well, you can totally bang my daughter if you want, bro. You're my bro. You can have her.
No. He's like, please don't do that. I don't want to be a grandfather when I'm 20. And Olsen's like, bro, don't get too ahead of yourself. Like, relax.
Well, hold on. I'm pulling it up right now. Kay says, wait a minute. It's fine for her to like anyone she wants, but if you marry her and have children and stuff, ... I'd be a grandfather at my age, So he seems pretty pro. He seems pretty pro Olsen banging her.
Yeah.
IMO.
I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think it's good. Like, maybe because he's essentially her quote unquote uncle, but also I can get like, some people are like, oh, I'm gonna marry. I don't know. When people are children, they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna marry my brother or my uncle or whatever, or get a crush on a like non-related like older authority figure.
Mm-hmm.
But like, since she's 20, and I don't know. I hope the story doesn't resolve with them getting together, because I'd feel it'd be worse if it does actually turn that way. I guess her feel that having crushes isn't the worst thing in the world, depending on how it's reciprocated.
Yes,
because like even though they aren't like blood related, it is like a case where like she calls him uncle, and it's clear he was basically a father figure to her. So it'd be more weird if.
Yeah, we see him explicitly like knowing her as she was a little girl, with the dying Tina.
Yeah, we get some insight of Tina, like Olsen coming out of the time portal and immediately is like, I'm going to look after Tina, and I'm going to spend my time trying to search for Kay. And it's kind of sad because it's like. We do get, I guess, like a reasonable outburst from Athena where she's like rejects the idea of Kay being her father, and she's like, I hate you, like you abandoned my mother, you're gone. And like the logical thing is like, well, I guess, to some degree it is his fault, like, because he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go on my mission, I'll catch you when I'm back, and then disappeared. But also like it's not his fault he got time displaced 20 years. But also when you're a 20-year-old and you're seeing like, oh yeah, my mom was alone and died alone and raised me alone, it still sucks. And the logic of it doesn't actually matter. Like, you can't really, especially in that moment when you just first find out, you can't really like rationalize it. I think that's fine that she runs off. It's just more the stuff where she's like, oh, I wish you were my father, Olsen, who I have a crush on. And I'm like, you're mixing things up here. Like, I can get her attachment Olsen being like, well, yeah, my real dad, I'd rather would be my dad, but when it gets mixed with the crush stuff, that's like, yeah, no, it's fraught,
Yeah, extremely. It is maybe the most Jerry Springer this whole show has been so far. This conversation in the field here, I don't love any of it for the reasons that you've said. And the daughter stuff. I mean, I guess it was pretty typical.
Like in a vacuum, the idea of like, okay, being time displaced meets his future daughter, and has to like, that's a relationship that they have to figure out is cool. I think it's just how they're handling it in their weird harem anime brained way.
Yes, extremely. There is a very good bit in this from Kay, where as they're like discussing it, and Kay is like it doesn't feel real to me either. It might be different if someone told us she was her sister. Even if you tell me she's my daughter, how am I supposed to feel that's true? Blah blah. Olsen says things. Flashback. I did not start reading this at the proper time.
It's funny that like Athena and Kay are just like, nah, that can't be real. And then like after 5 minutes, Mimsy comes by and it gets solved up by the way, and she's like, nah, it can't be real.
Mimsy takes a shot too. She's even more Jerry Springery in the situation. She pulls out a gun and shoots her in the hand. And then Kay's like, "Well, you just shot my daughter. Should not do that."
It is funny that like after like Athena leaves, Olsen and Kay are just sitting on a riverbank, and Olsen's like, "Hey, decide I'm not racist anymore." And then meanwhile, Mimsy in the background is just like picking flowers for no reason at all.
Yeah, I found the line, by the way. So Mimi's like, and she's about the same age as you. Kay says, it doesn't seem true to me either. I mean, a parent is someone who changes the child's diaper and takes baths with her and stuff, And then Athena's like very upset. He's like, why are you saying such fucking weirdo shit over there? Why would I do those sort of things? And I guess like I meant like if you were an infant, not right now. that's extremely weird, but funny. I enjoyed
Weird.
that.
Why would you say that?
Yeah.
Why would you write that?
I think it's funny. I think it's like Kay just being so
It is
confused and
funny.
like dealing with the emotions. I don't think he means it in a perverted way sincerely.
Yeah, but is the writer still wrote it, so it's like, you know.
You're right.
It
I
is.
don't. It's a slightly perverted joke. I don't think we're supposed to be like, oh, imagine him, changing her diaper. I think the joke is that like he's just saying he's like so out of it, from picturing like the whole life of like a daughter thing that he's missed, that he's saying like wildly inappropriate things for the actual situation because of time travel shenanigans. So I think like viewed in that light of like not weird fetish jokes, it's funny.
Yeah.
I don't know though.
Yeah, the thing is,
that
it is kind of funny. It's just also weird when like we had an episode 2 episodes ago where he almost kissed his daughter. So
yeah, you're right. Fair enough. Maybe I'm giving too much credit. But that's his episode.
it's hard to tell when to give them credit when it's also like, here's the reasons to not give them credit in this very show.
That's the Orguss promise.
Yeah. Truly, we are so back. It is so over. As I'm watching these episodes.
You ready for 22?
Yeah.
So Kay is upset about the singularity decision, which is, I've talked a little bit about that not making a lot of sense. But there's some crew tension about that, about which way he's going to decide. Mahum gets really pissed at Olsen in particular, because she sees him as a bad influence.
She's banging the pots, thinking Olsen will like, oh, you're pro Cherum, so you're gonna take Kay away and like save the Cherum at the expense of the Amar. And Olsen's like, no, I'm not racist anymore. It's fine.
They fixed me. Mahum and Mimsy have a dreadful conversation where Mahum is like, "Don't worry, I will no longer be a romantic piece of attraction for Kay."
I forgot this part happened. I forgot this happened because it immediately undermined in a couple episodes from now.
Yeah. I hate it. I'm begging the writers to stop doing this. No one, you're forcing this thing.
Yeah.
Just whatever. But hopefully it comes up less. Manisha catches up to the ship, but Mimsy,
Manisha, who is longing at her photo of her husband, while Shia is looking at her locket that we never see inside of. I think Shia has 2 lockets as well. I see that in the scene that she has 2, but I don't know if that's intentional.
Mass produced them. This part is so funny. When Mimsy is talking to Manisha, she's like just freaking bringing out the family drama that I guess Shia told her on the side. She's like, all right, you basically like, you bitch. Like, all right, listen, Manisha, you think like you're so good. Like Shia is just a little like person that doesn't care about anything and has no responsibility. She left because she wanted you to have all this stuff because like you don't have anything else going on. In fact, even your husband loves Shyamar and she wanted to give him to you too because she wants to bang Shia, or he wants to bang Shia, not you, but he just settled for you. And Manisha's like, oh fuck, kill him. We're gonna kill you for that.
I was like, please don't say this.
It's extreme drama. It's very funny, and then they go over and Ashaya is like, "Hey, this kid K is pretty cool," and then Manisha's like, "Whatever, I'm done. We won't pursue you anymore." And that's the episode.
Yeah, there's a part where like they have a conversation, and Manisha calls her first. And Shia is like, "Listen, we gotta save the entire world." I mean, there's a conversation where Shia and Olsen have a talk. And they seem cool with each other.
Did you also like the reveal of the husbandry situation?
That was funny. He's not a character, so it doesn't matter.
He's alive though, right?
He's alive. He's not on screen. He doesn't have a voice. So
I hope we get that conversation where Manisha's like, so do you just marry me to settle because you couldn't get my identical twin sister? And he's like, yeah, sorry. Yeah. I still like you.
We get some character development in this episode. We have Manisha and Shia reconciling and hugging. Olsen tosses away his Dorito. Shia tosses away her locket. And then Mimsy and Kay make out on the bridge or on the roof, and then Jabi like sees out the window. Is like, oh no.
Mimsy throws away his love of eavesdropping, perhaps, is what he lost out of this.
I will say that like this is the episode where I'm like, okay, I'm bought in more on the Mimsy K relationship. Like I'm okay with them as a couple. It's only a problem when like Moom is treated like a actually credible love interest solely by Mimsy. Like no one actually thinks. No, it is, but it's like no one actually believes this but Mimsy, which is weird and funny, but also weird.
Mahoom also does, so it's both of them. Like, just Kay does not view Mahoom in that way. He's dealing with a much more interesting relationship with Mahoom that the show would rather not focus on for whatever reason. We could keep talking about the ways in which like her being a robot, that looks like a human, it impacts her personhood to the people around her. Or we could keep trying to have little jokes about this girl that looks like she's 6 being in a relationship with this guy, and they choose the wrong option each time.
Yeah, and like Moom being interested and acting like that isn't the problem. It's Mimsy treating it seriously.
Yeah. Although when Mimsy treats it seriously, then we're led to believe that when Whom treats it seriously, that she's correct to be doing so.
Well, yeah, like that's the thing. If Mimsy was like didn't actually treat it seriously, then we could just leave it like, oh yeah, the child robot has a precocious crush on the adult authority figure male in her life, which is normal. But because Mimsy treats it seriously, it's like, oh, is this you're treating it like it's real when it's not.
Yeah. We do kind of harp on this a lot, but the show just keeps bringing it up, so it's not our fault.
Yeah.
Move on here.
It's funny that Manisha's husband's name is Lanch.
Fucking Lanch. Imagine. Sorry to all the Lanches out there. Sorry if you're the 17-year-old that's about to have a kid and you didn't listen to us. At least don't name the kid Lanch. It's gonna be our suggestion.
Yeah.
If your name is Lance, well, sorry, get a better name.
Yeah, I'm reading Dragon Ball at the moment, also for GP reasons.
Yeah, Dragon Ball's good.
It was hard to read it. It was hard to read it when I had to read 7 volumes of Fullmetal Alchemist for every week, but we're back on it.
Good job getting that double shonen pull in there.
Yeah, I need to hurry up so I can actually watch those movies.
Do you think Ed and Krillin would be friends? Little short kings between them.
Yeah. I am learning from this experience that not the Orguss experience, but this manga experience that I don't think I care for shonen, but at least Dragon Ball's good.
Yeah, can never be me. I grew up on that shonen stuff. Love that kick. Loving characters fight each other and like damn.
I thought Fullmetal Alchemist was okay.
Yeah, that's good. I liked it a lot as an anime, and I have very as strong opinions as a comic. Anyway, episode 23, nearly there. Penultimate episode.
Yeah, I watched these two this morning.
The Chiram have the D system, which is a transdimensional thing that the bomb blows out all the dimensional areas. But this one sucks them back in. The big D suck, as they say. But the Moo attacks and kind of fucks it up. There's a scene where
first they test it out and they get transported to the scene in episode 1 where they see Kay and Olsen ride off in a motorcycle through them.
They watch Kay have unprotected sex.
Yeah, and then meanwhile all this happening, Kay and Olsen are getting all sciencey affected, glowing, and I was like, oh damn, science is happening to us. But yeah, the Moo crucially, one, the Moo are attacking them, and 2. Reek is apparently working on his own dimensional adapter thing.
Do we know what that does? Did they say?
No. And It'll be a while before we find out again after what happens in this episode.
Yep. Another thing where it's like I would have maybe liked to have known what the thing that we're all talking about and having feelings about is, so I could ground it a little bit. But that's what happened. So
yeah, maybe the scope of the show is too big for the number of episodes they have.
They just not have as many fight scenes, so they can talk
maybe
about
they should
things.
Not have as many scenes where they treat the child robot like an actual love interest.
Yeah, I guess one of the criticism of the show is maybe all the scenes should be a different scene. Maybe it's just not what we're looking for. But also Rudall dies. Rest in peace. I mentioned that earlier, but this is where he fucking kicks the bucket.
Yeah. So basically, what happens is the Moo fuck up the D unit or the D whatever at the Chiram base. Athena kills him eventually, and she's like, "Damn, maybe I should let them rampage a bit more," because she has her own interest in not seeing that project succeed.
Mhm.
And then the Mu show up and attack the Ras ship, which again we have not seen inside much at all. None of the crew besides Fudol have been relevant at all. This gets blown up, and his work is all destroyed, and Fudol dies.
Yeah.
This episode is basically just a part 1 to episode, the next episode. So
yeah, let's just
it's
move on.
It's mostly the battle rages, to be honest.
Episode 24, Lieutenant.
There's a cool bit where like Olsen and Kay are like doing Metal Gear Solid stuff in their mech in the ship, and that's fun. And Olsen's like, "Hey, aren't we being a little too cautious?" And Kay's like, "Are we going to blow the ship up or what?" And Olsen's like, "You know what? Good point. Fair play."
Yeah, that's good. It's cool. And
they're back to being Top Gun bros, and that's cool.
Episode 24, Lieutenant breaks down from a point of crisis because all the Mu were fighting, and he's a Mu guy, and so he's like, "Oh, what am I going to do?" And he breaks down, and later on, he gets quote unquote fixed by Mahum, who apparently erases all of the relevant memories that made him do that, which seems really fucked up. So
it's extremely unethical. They just like don't comment much on it. Like after Kay's like thing about like, "Oh no, I ordered Moom, how could I?" And then meanwhile, Moom's like, "Yeah, erase his memories." And also, maybe my memory should be erased too, to be honest.
Kay is a little like, "Hey, isn't this like unethical?" And Moom's like, "No, it's not. It's fine." And he's like, "Oh, okay." So I guess it is fine if she says it is. Reeg is sad about the thing exploding, but he gets cheered up.
He like sees the ship going down, and he goes back around, and like Kay tries to stop him, and like Olsen has to like shield him from the blast of the ship, which is cool.
Oh yeah,
and then he's just like depressed, and like Shia has to be like, "Listen."
And then he gets
Slay died.
Cheered up, and he agrees to do it again after one tells him to. And then Shia goes and talks to her sister, where she asks for command of the whole fleet, and she's like, "Yeah, you can do it, but I get to be the new matriarch of the family, and I'll own your life." And Shia's like, "Yeah, sure." And then he's like, "No, I'm just kidding. You can just have all of it for your."
Why don't we get like Shia motivating Reeg to be like, "Oh well, if you don't rebuild the thing, Slay would have died for nothing." And I'm like, "Well, he still did."
Yeah, he did die for nothing. Sorry, twice.
And then meanwhile, we have Manisha, and she's like, "Shia, I own your life, which means you have to survive." Which is what's his fun?
Yeah.
But crucially, she requests the fleet from Manisha specifically because Reeg can use the engineering ships and the engineer crew to help actually rebuild the thing. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. We get the first look at the Mu command structure, which is a bunch of floating orbs that all talk about logic, which is pretty cool.
We can't allow the organic life forms to refix the Earth. We have to do that with our algorithm.
Yes.
They fix the Earth, and then the Hollywood sign is replaced with pussy and bio.
That's really good. Shout out to Babe 2, Pig in the City. Yeah, this is I don't know. I didn't care about this two-parter very much. Once again, I just didn't really understand what was going on.
It's okay. I guess literally every faction now of the big ones has their own dimension thing going on, and it's like, okay. I guess it is a bit silly.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot to mention the trim called the Glomar house, which is fun. Reminds me of the Xeon and 0079 calling the white base the Trojan horse.
Oh yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, that always annoyed me, and I felt really satisfied when I learned that was a translation incongruity there. I'll be the guy making, actually the rocking horse would be better posts if I was maybe 10 years younger to care about that stuff. That's neither here nor there, but yeah, I don't know what's this episode's fine. Reed gets sad in it, but
it gets better.
Not too much more than that. Yeah, it gets better. Yeah, which do you have anything about these two episodes in particular? Just want to kind of go on to broad thoughts.
All right. We're getting a bit more of the conflicts escalating. We're getting more of the move action, which is that'll be, I guess, presumably a big antagonist in the last stretch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially now that, like, we're cool with the Amars now.
Yeah, I feel like there has been a shift. The first 12 episodes had a lot more episode of the week stuff, and now we're like full on plot.
Yeah, it is more serialized.
And like I just I like a lot of small things individually, but the things it chooses to focus on are so alien to me as like being interesting. Are like generally done so poorly that it's hard for me to get behind a lot of it.
I feel like
I like Olsen.
yeah.
I like what he's doing. I don't like any of the relationship stuff. I think it's all like various degrees of like gross or kind of overwrought.
Like I think the things that I've enjoyed are like the sci-fi stuff and like the faction stuff. And I guess you don't like it as much, like you have your issues with them. But I'm still like, I'm generally having a good time with the episodes are focusing on those stuff, like the different factions in conflict, the sci-fi stuff that they're like, how we're going to deal with this, the setting, the stuff with like the setting. If it's episode focused more on the setting, that stuff's cool. Basically anything to do with like more of the real plot I'm interested in. It's just like, like I said, the relationships, like the poison pill, like Mimsy, I've kind of grown to be like, oh yeah, I think her and Kay's relationship are fine, but the problem is it's undermined by like the other stuff they're trying to do relationship wise. Like Athena would be interesting, but they had a couple of weird moments which make me go, what are they going to do here? And like we've already harped on enough.
Yes, I do. I think the sci-fi stuff is interesting. I just want them to tell me what it is, please. I like that there's 100 dimensions all coalesce into one world. Some like super fucked up, like unsustainable beasts of 1,000 different cultures and ideas and people. I just wish I knew what the choice was that we were building towards in a more meaningful way, so that I could have a basis for all these character interactions.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think
or get like more of that. Right?
I think the idea is like just like because this was said in like the Final Fantasy VII exposition room, but I think the idea is like because Kay and Olsen are separate from the big dimension orb, the major singularity. It is an unstable entity, and so the world is still like in flux rather than like it didn't stabilize when they're like theoretically like dimensions will crash together, but that would admit it. But because like the singularity fragments are not united with the whole, it's still in flux, and that's why the world is still in a fucked up state.
Yeah, no, I understand all that. It's all just all the stuff about like what they have to do to fix it that the show has not talked about.
I mean, like presumably like from that, like because Kay and Olsen are the fragments, they're part of the thing, and so uniting with the big glowy thing is the steps toward fixing it. The only thing that I have a question of is like how is their will supposed to be able to direct it to when like this is a ball of space-time weirdness,
Yeah.
Basically, I get the underlying logic. It's just like more like how are they supposed to have any influence on what happens after?
But I mean that like the influence bit like is the important bit, because all the questions that they're having is like, what are we going to do for our choice? And to do a choice, you need to know how you're enacting influence. So that's the big hang up for me, for why that so far falls flat. And they just tell us next episode, like, hey, here's the actual material like limits of what they can do to make it a real. I mean, I guess it's not even choice anymore because they're all like third way pilled. So it's like it'd be kind of pointless at this stage here,
because like it seems like the thought was like, oh, the world will. Like, I think like the other factions are like, we want to remake the world so it's all our world, original world, erase the other like 100 worlds. And meanwhile, like the decision that Kay and Olsen land on are like, oh, we want to preserve the 100 combined worlds as they exist. It's just a matter of like, how are we doing this?
Doing it, yeah. I would like to have seen in this batch and in general like a little more of the weird dimension stuff. Because I guess we got like a volcano, but we haven't like seen any like new groups of people or like strange things like
we got another group back, but not like
that we haven't seen already. Yeah, I think like if your whole thing is there's 100 different dimensions, you can like show us in 12 episodes like a few of them, a few like weird dimension things. That'd be, but I'm curious to see where it'll go. I don't think all of my complaints about last time have been settled or going in a very good way. And even like not treating the more egregious like fraught stuff there, like even ignoring that, the stuff that is there is not super pulling me in. But I don't know. Maybe the last third will really pull me around. Which I hope for.
Yeah.
I want to like things.
Look, I've said like We Are So Back is over. Like there's a lot in this show. Like I've enjoyed a fair amount of this show. I've also had complaints with one fair amount of the show. I would say I don't like the cast as much as the Macross cast overall. Yeah, but also like as someone who's watching a lot of 70s Ultraman, I'd say at least the characters are more fleshed out than a lot of those guys.
Maybe 70s Ultraman has lowered your standards to sad degrees.
Like is Orguss better than Ace? Probably. Actually, I don't know. That actually maybe brings me like I don't know. I'm enjoying Orguss, so it's at least like I still say like 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. If I had to say my current feelings, if it stays like this, the rest of the show and doesn't crash and burn in the last stretch, I'll at least say, oh yeah, this is like a decent 7 out of 10, maybe 6 out of 10 if I remember the bad parts more in my mind. Pretty all right show with cool ideas, some things to like, and some things that make me tug my collar and go, "Why'd you do this?" But yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, next time we will be watching until episode 35, the last episode of the show until the OVA sequel. So we'll see how this all turns out. Next time you'll hear us, we will be fully Orguss pilled. We'll know all of it. We'll have all the dimension ideas. We'll find out. Do they do the third way? Does everyone die? How do the relationships end up? All that will be in our heads.
Yeah.
And we'll have that next episode at some point,
whenever that is,
maybe soon. Yes, but we'll try to do it.
I don't even know when this episode's coming out.
Yeah,
at time of recording, the first episode of Ultraman Tower will be recorded next Sunday, but I don't know if this episode will be out before or after that. So,
yes, LOL. All right. Well, in any case, any last words before we're done, Mel? Go frantically go through the notes. You're like, big moment there. You hear the rustling on the mic.
Yeah, I think sometimes you should, if you're writing a show, even if you have a particular audience in mind, maybe you should just give your script idea to someone who's outside of your audience, so they can go, "Really, you're putting this in?" maybe get someone to give another look. Maybe be like, "Really, his daughter?"
I have a thing. Is this is the real asshole comment. Is this technically not an isekai since it's just like 20 years in the future and it's the same world still?
I mean, I consider Futurama as isekai.
Okay, I guess, but yeah, I guess if you're far enough in the future, it's just an isekai. Just a silly thing I wrote down there.
Yeah, and I think, and like it's 20 minutes in the future, 20 years in the future, but also like the world is like significantly altered to be like extremely not the same world. So
yeah, okay, that's fair.
I do think it's fun that I was gonna say like the time slip episode, which is like the weird fraught daughter stuff, reminds me a bit of like the one episode of Denbine where they go back to the past for a bit. Not the past. That episode was a lot better though. Denbine just on the whole a lot better than this show. Big surprise. Yeah.
I wasn't even huge on Denbine, but I do think that is a show that is works a lot better. I think like when they come back to Hawaii, that shit is like the coolest thing ever. I love that so much. Like the whole thing of like when they go back to the regular planet after like be on isekaiing is so fun. And you get a little isekai high horse for a second. The thing that not just me, but a lot of people think about isekai is that it's sort of weird, like why a lot of those stories are even isekais in the first place if like there's no actual relationship to the world they come from.
Like that's something that's really cool. And I won't spoil too much, but there's a bit of that in Escaflowne as well. Ooh. It's just like most modern isekai is just like the guy gets sent to a different world, and that world is just where they live now, and like that's just the setting, and it's just like why, like I didn't watch the show because it looked terrible. By morbid curiosity, because the OP is really funny, derogatory. I looked at the plot summary of Remonster. I don't know if Manny has read Remonster, but like I read the plot summary and it was like the protagonist of that show lives in a futuristic sci-fi setting where people have psychic powers, and then gets killed by his stalker, and it gets reincarnated as a goblin in a fantasy world. And I'm like, Why did you have someone in already interesting setting and then have them die to be reincarnated in like an isekai fantasy? What are you doing?
Does he keep his psychic powers?
Yes,
Is that
that's why he cheats.
Okay.
But I'm like, come on. It seemed like
Huh.
edgy sauceless slime when I was like look at the plot summary.
Isekai truly one of the most cooked genres out
I mean,
there.
I
I
do watch. I'm watching the current season of Slime, just going, yeah, this is my junk food anime. But it's not like I think like Slime is necessarily good. It's just like, oh, yeah, I enjoy it. It fires neurons in my brain. But
can you imagine a sword if Shell by Genre was like, we're doing an Isekai year of Isekai, to covering Sword Art Online, Slime, and that one Star Trek episode.
yeah, I guess you can put Slime ED as the one for this episode to continue the bit.
I'm that's good. Editing Shane will decide if that's funnier than just putting the next Sword Art Online.
You may as well mix it up.
Yeah, all those.
Have you heard the Monster OPD? Because that is really funny.
You send it me after. I'll listen to it. I'm going to go end this podcast now. Thank you everyone for listening to this. If you're watching along, I hope you're enjoying the show closer to where Mel is than where I am. And enjoying the podcast. A little without, we all miss Manny, of course, but and if you're watching the Detour, I'm sure you miss the other non-Mel hosts.
Yeah.
Although you shouldn't. Mel's the best host.
Don't worry. Red and Brad will return soon. Maybe even before this episode's out, depending on when it gets finished editing.
It'd be funny if they came up right now the same way Manny did. They're just waiting the whole episode for 2 hours this time.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mel, for doing this.
Yeah.
The description will have all the relevant information.
Yeah.
Do you want to do your plugs again, real quick?
Yeah. So you find me personally at Dick Crowns on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find my podcast Ultra Q at Ultra_Q on Twitter. Yep. As I said, next week, as of this current moment, but maybe before the episode comes out, we'll be starting Ultraman Taro. Our break will be over, and we'll be back into that. So if you want to, watch Ultraman Taro, now's the time. And then I guess we also will presumably figure out our schedule for getting back to watching the current Ultraman show, Ultraman Arc, because the break kind of
that show's really mid. I watched like 2 episodes of that show, and I was like, man, this show does not have it. You were all way more generous than I was with that one.
I've seen 5 episodes of it, and I thought there's some good stuff, but isn't hitting the highs of Blazer to me. And we'll see how it sticks the landing, because we felt Blazer didn't stick the landing, and that's why we're cooler on it, even though Blazer was better episode to episode. But yeah, we'll figure out.
I think for me generally, maybe this will come into Orguss too, but like for like because Blazer was like an episodic show, so I think I can forgive like the bad ending of it because it's not focusing on the serial stuff as much, because it has an episode where there's like a space samurai and it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
I love that episode.
It's the plot stuff in Blazer is weak, especially where it pretends that Gento actually is a father.
That stuff's really funny. Terrible, iconic, terrible dad. It's okay.
I think the writers think he's a good dad, but he really isn't. But we'll find out eventually when the movie finally is in English whether that's actually true. Important thing, Taro definitely out soon, or right now, and then we'll figure out Ultraman Arc stuff when we can, because the break kind of messed with our scheduling a bit, but it's fine.
I should watch episode 2 of Gab. I like that first episode quite a bit.
Yeah, I've seen episode 1. I didn't see any of Gotchard except for like the first episode, and maybe I'll go back to it. But I watched Gab and like, oh, they're cooking. Is interesting. The clash in tone between like what the writing is and what the gimmick of the show is. It's kind of Gaim code in that way, where it's like doing like some more serious stuff. The gimmick is like something ridiculous, like fruits or gummies. His belt jingle is a fucking circus, but it's fun based on episode 1. So I hope maybe I'll get back to Gotchard when like the batch drops for that. But
Yeah, I think I dropped Gotcha after a few episodes, but I'm sure still will be some anniversary season that will force me to watch it full regardless. Maybe at 1.5 times speed. Or so.
I feel like I need to watch Gotcha because when I was in Osaka last year, I had a Kamen Rider exhibit. I got a Gotcha shirt, and I was like, "Man, this shirt's so cool." And then, I didn't watch the show.
No, you can't wear that shirt if you haven't seen all of it. You'll be a fake fan. Everyone will call you. The little 6-year-old Japanese children will throw stones at you. Anyway, thanks again. You can email us at for the show anyway at doyourememberrobotech@gmail.com.
Yeah, if you got any emails for the Orguss finale, then send them in so we can talk about them.
Yes. Yeah. All right. And have an Orgusson day. Mel, please say your iconic line.
It's organ time.